Breaking tonight, new questions about what comes next. In roughly 60 days, our president-elect will be sworn in. For the first time in a decade, Republicans will hold the House, the Senate, and the White House. And President Trump will have a once-in-a-lifetime chance to remake America. Welcome to this Kelly Files Special 2016 in Focus. I'm Megyn Kelly. In a special studio, I have a special thing to show you in a minute. Quiet. Surprise. It was roughly a month ago when then-candidate Donald Trump, down in the polls and all but done in the assessment of many media outlets, went to Gettysburg to give a Saturday speech. There he outlined a plan for his first 100 days in office with a focus on cleaning up Washington, protecting American workers, and what he called restoring the rule of law. He also talked about repealing Obamacare, building a border wall, and rebuilding our infrastructure. And his team says he's going to deliver.
Well, I think he's going to execute his plan. I mean, he talked about the things he wants to do: national security, immigration, the economy, 100-day plan, working with the Speaker and the leader of the U.S. Senate. All those things are really important. We have a mandate, and the American people decided to put the Republicans in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, and that means that we now need to execute the will of the American people.
Joining me now, Dana Loesch, host of Dana on the Blaze TV, along with Mark Thiessen, American Enterprise Institute scholar. And guess who else is here? It's not just those two. Wait for it. Stirewalt, Chris Stirewalt, our Fox News digital politics editor, along with, look, Brian Kilmeade, co-host of Fox and Friends, and Julie Roginski, a Democratic analyst and Fox News contributor, all in our little Kelly File round table here tonight. So let's talk about first 100 days, because this is big, and he's got a full agenda that almost nobody listened to because they thought he was going to lose. Right. And as it turns out, there's a lot packed in there. A lot packed in there. You take it first, Chris. What do you think will be his first order of business?
Well, the first order of business, after he constitutes a government, which they're having to do, and I think you're right, I don't think even they expected to win. I don't even think they expected this coming down the pike, and I think this explains sort of the hurry-up offense that they're running on putting the government together. Once they get that done, though, he's made it pretty clear. Immigration, then massive infrastructural spending, and tax reform. And it looks like that's where they're going to tee it up. There's something for Democrats in the big spending. There's something for Republicans on tax reform. And then on immigration, that's his promise. That's the cornerstone of his campaign.
So what about all the spending that's going to go on infrastructure? Because, you know, the Republicans at their core really have objected to big government spending. That's been a black mark on George W. Bush's legacy, Mark.
Sure.
Can he get away with that?
Well, it's Obama's stimulus too, but he campaigned on it. I mean, this is literally, Obama had $500 billion in unpaid for shovel-ready jobs, and Donald Trump said, we're going to have $500 billion. He didn't say unpaid for shovel-ready jobs, but that's what it is. It's Obama's stimulus too. Now they're probably, I think Paul Ryan and the congressional Republicans are going to try and push to get it paid for. They're going to pair it.
Donald Trump says growth. We're going to have growth. I'm going to bring these jobs back, and that's going to create growth.
But he's going to pair it with tax reform, pro-growth tax reform, and so it'll be a little bit different than Obama's stimulus. But he wants to probably start out on a bipartisan note. So he wants to do something that the Democrats are going to get behind, some sort of a compromise. He'd probably be very smart also to push Ivanka Trump's child care initiative, because I think that's something that
you don't think he's making
you think Republicans are going to go for that?
No, I don't think
another entitlement.
That's an entitlement program.
I think that he's going to do that at some point for sure. And
I think so too.
It's because what's going to happen to start with is he's going to repeal a lot of Obama's agenda starting out. I mean, Obamacare. There's going to be a big fight about that. There's going to be a big fight there. There's the Congressional Review Act there's 150 Obama regulations on the chopping block ready to go. He's going to do that. Executive orders gone. Paris Treaty gone. There's going to be a lot of friction.
Just want to look over to see if a single tear is coming down.
Quite the opposite. Are you kidding? I'm getting excited. This is like a Democrat getting elected. Tell me more about stimulus. This is like the best news I've heard, because I don't think any Democrat would ever be able to get this through Paul Ryan-led House.
Oh, wow.
But I'm going to sit back and laugh and laugh and laugh when Paul Ryan, this fiscally responsible, balanced budget Paul Ryan, is going to, Speaker of the House, sign off on everything you just talked about. I'm going to sit back, open up a glass of wine, and sit back and laugh at all the Republicans out there who said this needs to be paid for, stimulus is a waste of time, It's all about balanced budgets, and here we go. This is going to make George Bush look like a piker with spending.
And you're going to laugh when Ted Cruz is on the Supreme Court?
And I'm going to laugh. That's when the tear will come. You know what I love about that? The Senate's going to confirm him just to get him out of the Senate. You're going to have John McCain voting hands down
and you'll
for Ted
enjoy
Cruz.
that for a cool 5 minutes before you're like, what?
Then I'm going to go into my
young man.
and then
Ted Cruz is, I think, 45 years old. Very young.
I'll go into my nuclear bunker and wait.
Use moisturizer. He's going to like it. I would say this. I think the reason why infrastructure is going to work first, and I did watch two congressional leaders today try to rationalize how they're going to spend it, and it was something beyond growth, but I really couldn't keep up with it. But they
how they're going to pay for it.
Yeah, how they're going to actually pay for the trillion-dollar infrastructure. He's going to do that for this reason: is that the thing about Donald Trump is what every Republican hated about it, and most of the people that you walk around that didn't vote for him, but somehow he won, is he is going to make deals with Democrats. Going to start right away. I read that he's already spoken to Chuck Schumer 3 times.
Yeah.
So if they actually want to repeal and replace Obamacare, they need 60 votes. They have 52 senators. So how are they going to do that? Maybe he says, listen, I'm going to give you some infrastructure spending. The babysitter has left. Barack Obama has left. The Clintons have quit. So now you have a chance to actually govern. So if you want to have a day in which you could say, vote me back, get me my majority in the Senate, you got to cooperate. And Chuck Schumer is a deal maker. I know you got to keep an eye on him. But if you go, give me this, you give me infrastructure, Donald Trump, and I'll give you repeal and replace Obamacare, perhaps. And the first thing they'll do is a defense supplemental, because we're starving to death. Our equipment's falling apart. We're going to need another 50,000 Marines in there. We're going to get bolster up the Army. And I think with the National Security Advisor, with Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, he's going to make sure of it. That's how we're going to do it. I think the first thing is infrastructure to get Democrats involved.
Now you're talking about a lot of money, right? You're talking about infrastructure spending.
There needs to be a lot of red meat given, though, to the people who went out and were voting for Trump. A lot of red meat policy, a lot of red meat things need to be repealed. For instance, yes, repeal Obamacare. I hear everyone says replace. Replace it with what? Yeah. Do we need to replace it with anything? Why don't we just have, instead, let's repeal Obamacare, and let's let everybody be able to get something that they can take, its portability, have insurance companies be able to compete so that people get lower prices. I would love that. I would also love to see...
But the problem on that is that Trump wants to keep the pre-existing condition.
Yeah, sure. There's ways that you can.
He wants to make sure that people who have pre-existing conditions can still, get insurance and won't be stopped. And they're talking about creating these high-risk pools. You'd have to go sort of in that. Which I don't know. I mean, Dr. Zeke Emanuel, who he likes the original because he drafted it.
Of course, he was very
expensive.
He is a wonderful conversational man.
He's kind of growing on me. He's kind of growing on me, I have to say.
I mean, he's a lot of the economy. Great conversationalist, though. But no, I think if Trump is able to throw a lot of red meat to the Republican base, to conservatives, to voters, to conservatarians, however you want to define them, I think that they will forgive him a couple of things, because that just seems to be the mood of voters.
An extra $1 trillion in spending?
I know. I'm not saying that I agree with it, but I'm just saying I think that would be the mood of the country to say, okay, well, we were able to get all of this stuff.
You know what he might do, though, Dana? What he might do is say, I'm not going to give you $1 trillion. I saw with Barack Obama, when he gave everyone money, they went ahead and renewed their state workers that they couldn't afford, and these shovel-ready projects, he admitted, didn't happen. I think he's smart enough to know what Obama did last time. He's going to want to know, okay, who's building the Hoover Dam again? Who's coming up? Who's coming up with this canal? I want to know what the projects are you're going to be spending on.
But wait a minute. The basic story of the presidency, and Mark knows this, is not what you want to do, it's how you react to what happens. Right. George W. Bush was going to be a caretaker president with a bipartisan domestic agenda focused on issues like education. And then he was reading My Pet Goat, and that thing happened. And it changed the world, and it changed history. His reaction to events was more important than his agenda coming in. So what we forget is that the presidency, yes, is an active office, but basically it is, you are the receiver of all of the bad news and of all of the things that happen. And his 100 days.
We can't know what's going to happen in that 100 days. But I want to get to the mother lode, if you will, which is immigration. Right? You're talking about red meat for the base. I mean, Ann Coulter and Laura Ingraham and Mickey Kaus are expecting the immigration promises that were made to be fulfilled.
And there's already a fight right now over wall or fence, because apparently at some point there was made mention of, well, some of it's going to be a fence, and people were thinking, we wanted a wall, we didn't want a fence.
I mean, realistically, you can't. Why?
He's already backed off it. He's already
of the fence.
He had done that before.
That's not going to be the big problem. Building a wall and having a fence at Flowers is not going to be the big problem. The deportations.
No, that's not going to be a problem.
It won't.
That's not going to be a problem.
Look, here, I'm going to make a prediction here. Donald Trump is going to give the Democrats their dream of comprehensive immigration reform. It's not going to be comprehensive. It's going to be sequential. But he has said that that his plan is to. They all have to go home, but they can come back in an expedited fashion. That's a policy called...
The good ones, he said.
The good ones, which is most of the 11 million.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is for the legalization of almost all of the 11 million people who are here legally. He just said on 60 Minutes the other night, they're good people. They're good people. What he's going to do is he's going to require them to go home, get a special visa, and get an expedited return. But they're good. But he's going to do it in a way, and he will have done. He'll do the border security first, and he'll have gotten that, and the Republican Party will go along with it.
Wait a second. You're saying that these people are going to self-deport on the promise that they can get expedited back?
Yes, absolutely.
First of all, they're not. And secondly, I was promised a big, beautiful wall paid for by Mexico. I expect it.
Yeah.
And a lot of his voters expect it. And the problem here is when you have Newt Gingrich coming out and saying, oh, this was just a campaign device. He didn't really mean it about having Mexico pay for it. Well, there are a lot of people out there who voted for him and were chanting, build that wall, have Mexico pay for it. You got to keep your promise. He's going to have Mexico pay for it, and he's going to build a big, beautiful wall.
They already backed off that. We're going to pay for it, and then we're going to sort of send Mexico the bill ready. But we have to leave it there, as scintillating as this is, because we have a lot more we have to get in.